Okay, hi, good evening. So today this is going to be very short, so just trying to keep it very simple. So I'm going to show you how to export files, Adobe Illustrator files to Photoshop, and also how to work on smart objects and also maintaining quality, that is vector quality. So if you mostly work most times in Photoshop, you work with pixels, while if you're working on Adobe Illustrator, you do work with vectors mostly. So maybe you have to combine two softwares, and you understand when you're working, because maybe you want to apply an effect that is on Photoshop, or some manipulations you want to do that is on Photoshop and you can't do that on Illustrator. Then this will actually help you to move your files from Photoshop or from Illustrator to Photoshop. Or if you want to apply just an effect on Illustrator, you could also do that and apply that effect and take it back to Photoshop. So it's just very simple. All you just need to do is use the file menu here. When you click on the file menu, so let's say we have a part. Let me just get it designed for you so that you will be able to see what I mean. Okay, so we do have this design, and we want to just apply the want to take this particular project into Photoshop. So one of the things you could do to avoid any problem is just ensure you have just one artboard, so you don't get things mixed up. So let's say we have all artboards. You just have only one artboard here, and in this artboard we do not need if you're having anything like clipping mask, then you need to take it off. So let me show you what I mean by clipping mask. Let me have this image duplicated here. So if I probably have a shape like this, and I want to put this particular picture into this box, that's just this part of this box should appear of the whole image. Just highlight the two of them and clipping mask, and I have that. So that's what I mean by clipping mask. So ensure you do not have any clipping mask on. If you have grouped stuffs, you could ungroup them and to make things much easier. So I do have clipping mask in this case. All these ones are clipping mask. So I could go to object, I could go to scroll down, clipping mask, and I could release all the clipping masks. So now all of them have been released. There's no one in the clipping mask here. So what I do is I go to files and I go to export as. Let's export, then export as, and export as. Then I could export it, choose the format I want to export it. So Photoshop is here. So Photoshop, let me put that in music or something like that. Yeah, music. I think music will do. Yeah, in music. Then I say export. Then I could choose what format. So I'm using it for RGB, flat image, white layers. So you have a white layer, the text, editability, and everything is okay here. Okay, and it exports it in Photoshop file. So that's one way, or that's the way for you to get your images, or to get your Illustrator files exported in Photoshop. So I just need to come to Photoshop and I open, and I go to I think I put it in music, and I click and I open it, and yeah, we have all our designs here with all layers and also with all the effects placed here. So yeah, so that's how to export. So all you just need to do is scale it, because all these ones are out there. That's why you see the artboard, or the Canva tries to fit everything into it. So zoom out, and we could scale it up, and then probably bring it up like that. So, and everything here has been preserved, so you could just work with this and see how you could get your results. Now, let's say we want to also export something that we can edit in Illustrator. There's one way you could also do it, but before that, I'll try to show you what we mean by smart object, because in our discussion today we're supposed to discuss about using smart object in Photoshop. Now, smart objects are objects that allow you to somewhat use the clipping mask technique, but also preserving the content that is in it. So let me give you an explanation. So let me say I have a shape, right? I do have a shape, and it actually works most times for mockups. If you're playing with mockups, it actually works most times for mockups. So let me say I have this shape, and this shape now is not a smart object, it's just a shape, a regular shape, just a normal rectangular shape. If I make any tweak to this, it's going to break it into a different shape. So let me say I want to tweak it, and I press Ctrl T, which is transform. If I right click and say let me distort it, so I take this part and I drag it like so. If I press OK, now it's still the shape, it's still the rectangular shape, but in a case where I don't want this box to break, but I want to distort its image, so the contents inside will try and stay within that. So all I just need to do is convert it to a smart object. I come here, convert to smart object. So now it's converted into a smart object. Now anything I do into here, the content of it will still remain as a box, as a square. You understand? So let me say I Ctrl T, I go to distort, and I tweak it like this. Okay. If I double click inside, now the content as a square still remains like this. So if I say OK and I press Ctrl S, it saves it, and I go back, it still remains the way, like it's distorted from the main stuffs, but inside of it I could change, edit any content that is within this box here. It's a little bit, maybe I will explain much better in another video, but it's just smart objects are maybe in a mock-up it will be much better if I explain it using a mock-up. So maybe this part I should just cut out this part or something like that, but I might leave it. So smart objects are very good most times when you're working with mock-ups. It's the best when working with mock-ups. So we'll discuss on that one maybe in future classes. So applying now Photoshop effect to illustration graphics. So we do have our design here in Adobe Photoshop, and we want to take it to Illustrator in case probably we applied an effect or something. Maybe we applied a warp effect. Let's have that shape here, and we go Ctrl T, we go to warp, and we distort like so. Say OK, and distort it, and we just probably keep it white side. Or let's apply motion blur, and we have motion blur, and like that. We could also increase the distance 70, so we have that. Now we want to take it to Illustrator, so what we'll do is files, we go to save as, we select our format here, and we select, if we go to ensure you check save a copy, we choose EPS. So EPS, either EPS and 2.0 or EPS 1.0, any of them two works, but just normal EPS is also better. So we keep that as a Photoshop EPS. We say save, and include everything just there. Everything is okay, and we come to Illustrator. We go to files, we go to open, and then we go to music. We scroll down, and we have that there. Now this is us imputing or bringing our Photoshop file into this. Yeah, so we can ungroup them, and also with this clipping mask. There's still more like that. So these are the disadvantages you have with bringing things from Photoshop. They might not be as editable as it could be in such cases, but now let me show you how to probably have to edit one, or to pick one particular object or asset to Photoshop to edit it and bring it back, or just to apply it in Photoshop. So let me say there's a particular effect I cannot do in Photoshop, but I want to do it in Illustrator and take it as a smart object. So let me say I do have this. I hope I haven't spoiled. Let's go back, please. Okay. So let's say in this case I want to copy this. Let me just say I want to copy this. That's all. I want to copy this into Photoshop. I could just press Ctrl C, or I could come to edit and go to copy. Now if I come to Photoshop here and I press Ctrl V, it's going to give me options to paste what I've copied from Illustrator. So I can say copy it as a layer, or I should copy it as a smart object. Best is copy it as a smart object. This is the reason why. Now once it's pasted as a smart object, once I double click, it will take me back into Illustrator in order for me to edit what I have copied. So this is it here. It took me back from Photoshop to Illustrator to edit it. So once I'm done editing, maybe I don't want the clipping mask. I mean, from the clipping mask, and I take off this guy, I could now press Ctrl S, and it saves it, and effect that's been applied right over here. So that's you having Illustrator and Photoshop synchronized together. And in a case where you want to just edit this picture here, there are ways you could do that. You could come to link. This is link here. You can find link Windows. Then you scroll down to links. That you get links there. So in case you can't find links, that's what you can do. Then you can edit it in Photoshop. That's as a picture. But in this case, I think it's missing. It's not linked. It's not still linked. If like that, you'd have edited it in Photoshop right over here. So you could see edit in Photoshop. So it's missing. That's why. So if you say edit in Photoshop here, let's take it to Photoshop to edit it as a particular picture, then bring it back to Adobe Illustrator. So here it's here for you to edit. When you edit it, you save it, press Ctrl S, and it takes it back to Illustrator to effect it. So in our design class, or in our design where we'll be designing for backgrounds, you'll see how I could edit pictures and just retrace it back into Photoshop, into Illustrator, and we just work better from there. So I think that's all for the 3 stuffs we're covering for today: exporting Illustrator files, Photoshop smart objects to, and also applying Photoshop effects. So we'll discuss more and you'll see how we could integrate all this into it. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next class.